On tonight's episode, we're going to be making apple butter, which, believe it or not, does not contain any actual butter. Let me show you how it's done. Now, we're going to be making a small batch today. So to do that, we're going to start with 4 gallon apples, about 1.5 pounds, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of apple cider, and a little bit of spice, which we'll talk about later. The first thing I'm going to do is peel and dice my apples and place them in a medium saucepan. Now, with my apples here in a medium saucepan, I'm going to add our half a cup of apple cider and half of our sugar, so about 1/4 cup. Then we're going to bring this up to a boil and then cover it with the cover just kind of a jar like so, and let it boil for about 20 minutes until most of the liquid is dissolved and the apples are nice and tender. Don't forget to stir about every 5 minutes or so. So it's been about 20 minutes. You can see that there's very little, if any, liquid at the bottom of our pot here. And the apples are pretty soft. You can pretty much squish them with a spoon here. So now we're going to take it off the heat and let it rest just for a minute. So now we're going to blend our apple and sugar and cider mix. Now you could take all your apples out of here, put them in a blender, or you can use an immersion blender and do it right here in the pot. Now, as you can see, our mix is already pretty thick and really already resembling the consistency of what apple butter is going to end up being. So at this point, I'm just going to add a little bit more sugar, not the full amount, because it's already pretty sweet. Just a little more sugar. And then at this point, also add our spice. Now, you can add cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, really any spices that you want that would certainly bring out more of the appley fall flavor. I'm going to use a homemade pumpkin spice mix, which has cinnamon and allspice and clove and cardamom. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of this. So at this point, I'm going to put this back over low heat and just let it simmer for a few minutes until all the sugar kind of cooks in. At that point, we'll take it off the heat and let it cool down completely. So I've had my mix here over low heat for just a few more minutes. And at this point, you can see the whole mix kind of sticks together when you move it around the pot and try to stir it. So that's a pretty good time to cut the heat and just let it rest until it cools down completely. Now, once it's cooled down completely, you're going to want to transfer it into a jar or container, and this will keep in the fridge for about 2 months. Now, with a recipe like this, where you're adding a lot of sweet things together, you're going to want to taste all of your ingredients independently. The sweetness of the cider, the sweetness of the apples will all affect the final product. And as you saw, I used a lot less sugar than I was anticipating because of how sweet everything else was. You can spread this on toast, a bagel, a cookie, or a spoon. That works too. This tastes like the best version of apple pie filling. Just a little bit of sweet, a little bit of spice, both things that you can adjust to your liking. See you next time.